So, in continuing with these stellar relationships videos, we're going to start talking much more technically now and much more scientifically about the actual way that astrology shows masculine and feminine energy and therefore relationships. This video here is going to be about the quality of female energy, which is the need to stabilize and connect. So let's take a look. In relationship astrology and in astrology in general, there are the elements. These four elements, there's actually 5 elements, but the 4 elements in the astrology chart are how we first assess masculine and feminine energy. And there are 2 masculine and 2 feminine elements. The 4 elements in the astrology chart, from the densest to the finest, are earth and water, which are female, and fire and air, which are male. So let's take a deeper look at that. The first element and the densest and heaviest element is the element of earth. Earth shows our physical body, as well as all things that are practical, useful, tangible, and material. Our life unfolds through our physical body, and its needs are the most urgent when they arise. So even if you'll enjoy listening to me talk, if you have to go to the bathroom, you'll only be uncomfortable like that for so long. Or if you're really hungry or something, you won't put off your bodily needs. Their needs are the most urgent. It's the heaviest and densest form of energy. So the element of earth, the quality of earth is it will remain at rest unless acted upon by another force or object. It's very interesting. Think about, let's say, the objects in your car. Okay, right now you're probably in your house, but think about the objects in your car. They're all sitting there, and they're going to move. They aren't going to move unless something comes and moves them. In fact, your car won't move unless something moves it. It will sit there for eternity unless something moves it. That's the nature of Earth. Think about how powerful that concept is. The concept of solid, steady things that don't move. They are at rest. I used to trip out on thinking about all of my stuff when you leave the house. I wonder what all the stuff does when you're gone. It just sits there, I guess, but it's kind of a trippy thing to think about if all your stuff starts partying once you leave, right? But no, it all just sits there. And when you're gone, everything is exactly where it was when you left it, unless someone came and moved it around, or you had an earthquake or something. But Earth provides the tangible structure through which our life unfolds. But it may also be the stagnant quality that prevents our life from moving forward. This is also a quality of Earth. Earth is also heavy, it's cold, and it's stagnant, like we just said. But there's also the quality of structure and stability. It's related to our physical body, the physical body itself. So, this archetype of the 4 elements is in every holistic healing system. And actually there are 5 elements, but the 5th element is not represented by our karma. It's actually the element of space, which is our consciousness, our free will, the part of us that is free of the karma of the world. But we'll talk about that a little more. Right now, let's stay on the feminine elements. So we have the densest element, which is earth. And then water is next. Water shows the flow of our senses into our environment and the deep emotional connections formed. Water is related to our feelings. Think about it. Water and earth together create growth in the form of plants. Of course, also there's sunshine, but earth and water create plants. And water rests upon the earth. Water and earth are the dense, heavy, nurturing, feminine elements, the internal elements. Plants provide food and sustenance for all creatures, as well as oxygen for us to breathe. So this is the sort of building block of life on Earth, is earth and water. Together they form plants which give us oxygen and food. Water also gives a connection to love and feelings, which gives rise to a caring heart and a compassionate life. So just as the physical body was related to, just as earth was related to the physical body, water is related to that flow of senses and the flow of our body into the world. That's why water is related to food. and anything that we're feeding ourselves through our senses, not just food, but what we're gathering and bringing back into us to nurture and feed our body. As I said, water rests upon the earth and nourishes it, just as the senses feed and love nourishes our body. So the senses feed our body, and love nourishes our heart, really. Love is necessary for our soul to evolve. Yet water may make us cling to fantasies, memories, or emotions. Water rules the sense of taste. So I say this because water is related to feelings and emotions. Just like we said that the earth element is the quality of stability and solid structures which form our body and our bones and the solid objects in the world. It can also make us stubborn and make us cling to things. That's the nature of earth. I want what I have and I don't want it to change. That's the psychological quality of earth that is difficult. The psychological quality of water, because water flows, makes us sensitive, feeds us, is related to love. Look at the nature of water. Water is the most adaptable element. If water is in a square container, then it becomes square, right? It adapts. If it's in a round container, it becomes round. If it gets cold, it freezes. If it gets hot, it boils. It adapts to any situation. In fact, if it's on a hill, it rolls down the hill and fills in all the cracks. That's what water does. Just like love is adaptable. Love adapts and accommodates every situation. And that's the quality of water, to be adaptable, to be malleable, and to adjust, just like love. But what can happen is, through the nature of water, we can get into this sort of dreamland. It's a sort of dreamy fantasy element as well. So the two female elements of earth and water tell us that female energy wants to stabilize, sensitize, and nourish us, just like earth and water. That's why the first thing that I said was the female elements are to stability and nourishment in the form of love and things of the body. Thus, women are generally the most interested in feelings, emotions, stability, and being grounded in their body and senses, because women generally bond with their feminine self. The female qualities of life are more important to women generally because they're women. So we have to be practical about this. Now, every person has masculine and feminine energy within them, but women are going to bond more with their feminine qualities. It's going to be more important for them, especially in relationships, because one of the main premises of this perspective in stellar relationships is that when we're in relationships, we're trying to actualize and empower our gender identity. And women mostly identify with the feminine qualities, especially in a relationship. When feeling a sense of lack in these areas, a woman's actions and thoughts will tend to be inconsistent and hard to understand. So when a woman doesn't feel stable and sensitive in her relationship, her actions and thoughts become inconsistent and hard to understand. Actions and thoughts are related to the masculine elements of air and fire, which we'll talk about. But these feminine qualities of earth and water are fundamental to any actions that come later, because they're the foundational principles of all life on earth for men and women. So women bond more with their feminine qualities of stability and nourishment, and when they don't feel stable or they don't feel sensitive, then it's hard to understand what they say or do and what they mean, because the masculine elements then get out of kilter. Men, it's a little bit different. Men can often be disconnected from the feeling nature because they're identifying more with fire and air elements. So for both men and women, if we're disconnected from our deeper feeling nature, our actions, as shown by the male elements, will lack sensitivity and meaning. So generally speaking, when women feel good about themselves, they will do good things. Feelings precede actions. So women generally feel and trust their intuition, and then they act based on that. Men oftentimes will act and do what they think is right and then see how they feel about it later. So this is sort of a different thing, which we'll talk more about the interrelationship here. And by the way, in gay relationships, you'll have masculine and feminine dynamics, which are a little different, but right now we're just talking about archetypes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Be in touch.